warm welcome to another edition of To The Point. On the show this week, Union Minister Harsimrat Kaur Badal. Welcome on the program.
Thank you.
My first question to you is that the countdown to elections 2019 has begun, and if I could ask you in the Bollywood style, how's the Josh?
Josh is great.
Okay. So, given the fact that there's a lot of politics happening as far as the central funded schemes are concerned, say for example starting with Ayushman. Now, why do you think that the Punjab government, which is of course under Amrinder Singh right now, has refused to accept these schemes?
I think he'd be the best person to answer. But for a chief minister who's not been to office for a single day in last 2 years, Ayushman Bharat is just one of those few. Whether you talk about the 6,000 rupees which farmers are going to be getting, the new thing which was announced in the budget,
right,
and the first installment of 2,000 has been given to crores of farmers across India. There's not a single farmer in Punjab who has got, because none of the details were uploaded onto the portal. So whether it's housing for the poor, or it's Ayushman Bharat where they get a golden card, where 14 lakhs all over the country have already availed the 5 lakh golden card for big operations. There's not a single poor person in Punjab who has got this golden card. So I'm sure even the Shram Man Dan, which has been inaugurated today by the PM, I doubt if that also will benefit anybody in Punjab. But this is not only these central schemes. If I talk about my own ministry, it's surprising that in 2 years, the only letter I get from the Chief Minister is on the 28th of February, 10 days before the Code of Conduct comes in. Otherwise, for last 2 years, there's thousands of crores which are being distributed all over the country. Not once, despite my repeated letters to the Punjab government, not a single officer, minister or CM has come that come give something to Punjab. Out of the 41 projects which have gone to Punjab, it's been wholeheartedly my own initiative and effort that I have ensured that those projects have gotten to Punjab. So, if you talk about my hospital AIIMS in my constituency, imagine a prestigious thing like AIIMS coming into Punjab, but for 2 years this government does not give any clearances, and eventually I start the groundbreaking ceremony and the construction minus any environment clearance which comes in 40 days after I have started, and now the hospital, the OPD should be operational in another 2 months. But the 66 kVA Bijli grid, electricity grid, which has to give the electricity, the groundwork has not even started. So how is a hospital going to work without electricity? So this government is, it's a non-existent government.
What do you think is the biggest reason for so much of reluctance? As you said that it's not one but many schemes which they are refusing to roll out. So what is the biggest reason?
I think Amrinder Singh has announced during his election campaign that this is his last election. So person who has already announced that this is the eve of his life, he's not interested whether he wins the next election, or a person works and delivers because you want to perform better and you want to come back. So when the guy had already said that this is my last election, so he went all out giving all kinds of fake promises of waiving off every farmer's every loan, be it to a private bank or to a money lender or to an Aarti or to a cooperative bank. I'll waive off 90,000 crores. He written forms in every house, stamped by him, having forms filled by every youth that ghar ghar naukri, each youth would get a job. So he made the fake promises which any other party or leadership would be even scared of even mouthing this thing. But he knew that I'm not going to stand for the next election. So say whatever I have to say to come into power. Once he's come into power, he's enjoying himself. He's not bothered. I don't think he's been into the people even once in the last 2 years, nor does he go to work. He stopped every kind of welfare scheme which we had started. The only development happening in Punjab are those projects which had been started by us, not a single new thing. Everything's on paper. A fancy budget is announced on the paper, fancy things are announced by the ministers. But the fact of the matter is that today the Kisans are on dharna because 950 farmer suicides in 2 years. When he talk about giving 10 lakh compensation and a government job, not even one out of the 950 have got that. The youth is jobless, so they are on dharna. We have got almost every government organization, be it the teachers, be it the doctors, all sitting on dharna. It's the first government where I have seen they've even put a Punjab tax or a Congress tax on all employees. Every employee of Punjab has to have 2,400 rupees cut from his salary because they say the coffers are empty. So it's not that your hours of work
And this is happening for the first time.
this is the first time in any state I have heard of such a thing. And the first time in Punjab, I mean, whether you're a policeman or a teacher or a doctor or anybody else, you're working all the hours that you have to. But 2,400 rupees from your salary is getting cut because the coffers are empty.
And what do they call this tax as? Congress tax.
We call it a Congress tax. I don't know what they are calling it. They are just calling it a cut.
Okay.
So it's shocking the kind of things which are being done. Can you imagine the Bijli rates, the electricity rates have been increased 11 times in the last 2 years. And as you know that Punjab had the highest taxes on petrol and diesel. So how they say the coffers are empty, I don't know, because even the poorest of the poor, you know, the SC and the BC category who are really poor, we used to give them 200 units of Bijli which was maaf, they don't have to pay. Here they have even removed that, and about 1,000 crores have been taken out from the poorest of the poor's pocket because they've increased the, and the poor guys are getting electricity bills which is running into 50,000 and 60,000, and
Right.
also I think people are in a state of shock.
So from what you're saying, and I understand correctly, is that the Punjab is totally in an anarchic situation, that here you have a central government who is ready to give out schemes to benefit the farmers, benefit the people, but here you have a state government which is completely reluctant.
There is no government. I mean, which government in its right senses tells the teachers that you were getting a 45,000 rupees salary, you want to work for 10,000, work, otherwise you beat them up and you know, there's have blood flowing and get lost. I mean, who offers a salary lesser than what they were getting? So there is no government. It's not, if there was a government which was responsible and responsive, they would be doing something. Today, I don't think there's a single Congress leader which goes to the people. When we as a Akali Dal go to the people, we have people saying our pensions have been cut, we have not got our Shagan scheme for 2 years, our Atta Dal has been cut, look at the state of the, they can only tell us because we go to them, but there's no Congress leader which goes to them. Every election they are winning is on the basis of, you know, either cutting out people's papers or using FIRs and police force, and the police is literally counting their votes for them and declaring the one person who has won, declaring him as that he's lost and lost. So yeah, it's crazy what is going on there.
So how do you see the political battle shaping up in Punjab for 2019, given the whole matrix of the alliances? You have an Aam Aadmi Party, you have a Congress, you have a sad BJP combined. So how do you see this entire battle shaping up then?
Well, I think it's going to work to a total disadvantage of the Congress and advantage of Akali Dal BJP, because Aam Aadmi has been nothing more than a B team of the Congress, right from 2015 when both of them unitedly started a war against Akali Dal by defaming them, by saying that we are selling drugs, by saying that we are doing sacrileges, by saying that we are selling you know, wrong medicine so that the white fly attack is on the crop. So I mean, everything that they could use under the sun they used against us. One became the ruling party, the other became the opposition party. But in these 2 years, from the time they both have come into, one in power and one as the opposition, they have done nothing to address anything. Farmer distress has gone up, sacrileges are going on just the way that they have, and till date they are still just targeting, hoping to win votes by defaming the Akalis even now. And like I feel that if you have a shred of proof about us selling drugs or of us doing sacrilege, why don't you go to the court and throw us behind bars? So they have no answer. So it's just a political drama which is being enacted. Sometimes you'll have radical elements which are supported by the government to sit on sarkari dharnas and for 6 months bombard Akali Dal and defame them. Then you'll have you know, a sarkari commission of a relative of a Congress person who's made over there, and that commission's report, before it reaches the Vidhan Sabha, it reaches it reaches a Congress leader's house, who then tells the press what is in the commission's report.
So do you think that the people of Punjab will be able to see through all this and then on their wisdom they will vote for the coming elections?
I think the people of Punjab are annoyed with the Congress party. They are annoyed is putting it mildly. So there is no doubt that the government has been a total failure if you look in any parameter. Even if you look in performance wise, if you look at the rating of the states, when we left the state we were at number 2, the last rating shows it's at number 20.
Right.
So there has been a slide in every way. So obviously in people's expectation there's been a massive slide as well, which is why such high farmer suicides, which is why employees are sitting on dharna, which is why every segment of society is annoyed and angry. And I think this in itself is going to give them an answer.
What do you think is wrong between the chemistry of Chief Minister Amrinder Singh and his cricketer turned politician Navjot Singh Sidhu? Now, say for example, post the Pulwama strikes, Amrinder Singh hails the strike, and Navjot Singh Sidhu is totally at a different tangent, you know, blaming the government and raising all sorts of questions. So, why do we see these two people who are in the same cabinet functioning as a binary, as two different people?
Well, there are a couple of reasons. I think Mr. Rahul Gandhi has a lot to do with both these things. It's a well-known fact that Amrinder Singh and Rahul Gandhi cannot stand each other. In fact, Rahul Gandhi did not even want to announce Amrinder Singh as the CM candidate, and Amrinder threatened to break the party. It's different that once he became CM, now he started singing his praises, but that also, to the bare minimum. So,
out of
Rahul
reluctance.
Gandhi cannot stand Amrinder Singh, which is why he is promoting Sidhu, and Sidhu is getting away with hugging the Paki general, going to Pakistan and is speaking the Pakistan language.
Right.
So while that suits Rahul Gandhi really well, he encourages Sidhu to do all that and takes a different stand nationally. I mean, and Rahul Gandhi is double-faced, is well known to he'll go to a Madhya Pradesh during Madhya Pradesh elections for a 1-year anniversary of some 6 farmers who died there, but 950 have died in your own state of Punjab ruled by you, which is a half-an-hour flight. You don't go there. So Rahul Gandhi is double standards. One can name innumerable ones of them. So this is again another of his double standards, where Amrinder Singh contradicts Sidhu, who is being promoted and given all the backing by Rahul Gandhi. And it's a very interesting fight which is going on for their own political turf within Punjab. One supported by Rahul Gandhi and the other one just contradicting that, just to stay relevant in politics there as well.
So obviously
But
then
of
there
course
are
I
two
would also
camps of...
No, there may be two camps, but let me highlight over here that Pakistan has got inroads into the highest level of Congress politics in Punjab, starting from the top. I'm sure I don't need to tell you about the political Pakistani army connection over there. And I don't need to tell you about the minister who goes across the border and spends a lot of time doing I don't know what, who's now speaking their language. So Pakistan has entered Punjab Congress at the top level, and Rahul Gandhi has allowed that to happen. So we often see that in the center also, they speak the Pak language today rather than what their own countrymen are talking about.
When Kartarpur corridor was being opened, and at that time you made a statement saying that if the Berlin Wall can fall, then also hatred between India and Pakistan can vanish. Now that this kind of airstrike has happened, do you still maintain the stand? What do you really feel between the relations between the two countries as far as the relations are concerned?
You know what shocks me most about this attack on our Jawans, which was most dastardly and the worst that can be said about it, there are no words which can actually say to what level it went to, and the worst attack over so many years. But I think what goes to the credit of the government is that how the government attacked, our government attacked those terrorists who killed all these 40 people and ensured that not a single a civilian got hurt in process. You know, it was a neat and clean operation against terror. And the shocking bit was that how Pakistanis came to attack India in defense of the terrorists and expose themselves totally. Now, as far as Kartarpur corridor is concerned, I call it a corridor of peace for the simple reason that in two countries with such tension over the last so many years, despite those tensions, in the name of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, two prime ministers have come together for the 550 years. I call this a divine intervention. I do not think it can happen without the blessings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji himself. And the fact that even today, when there is so much tension between the two countries, the talks for the corridor are still going on. So I cannot say what the intentions of Pakistan are. I know that our government has been extremely sensitive to what the Sikhs have been praying for, like I said, in every Gurdwara, morning, evening and night for the last 70 years since the country was partitioned. We have prayed that, you know, the birthplace of where our religion starts from. May we be destined someday to go and bow our heads over there, because we can just see it across the border, but we cannot go there. So this is something in every Gurdwara it's prayed for. So our government, being extremely sensitive to this, has for the 550 years given this to the Sikhs, that we agree to do that. And the fact that it is happening despite all the kind of tensions that have been there, and more so even now, it just goes to show that there is a divine intervention, which is why I say that I'm sure when this corridor happens, there will be some sort of peace which will come into both these countries, which I think is good for both countries, especially more so for Pakistan. If you can't fight your terror yourself, take our help, we'll help you. We can show you that we can get rid of terror in your own land. If you can't do it, let us help you do it.
What was most unfortunate recently was the way the opposition has done its political posturing by questioning the airstrikes, questioning the number of dead. Why do you think there is raising heat on this entire rhetoric of skepticism amongst the opposition parties? What do you think is the basic reason?
First of all, it's shameful, and they really should be ashamed of themselves for speaking a language which is benefiting the enemy rather than your own people. But I think it's very clear it's politics at play. They had built up this entire thing about the Rafale, were having no substance, no proof with which they could go to court, but had created this whole thing in the country. Now, when they are finding that a decisive action has been taken, and these were the same people who kept saying, where is the 56 inch ki chhati, kuch karte kyun nahi, karte kyun nahi. I mean, they were bringing down your neck that why don't you do something. And when this attack happened, there was a chorus of do something, do something. Now, when the government has a strong government and a strong leader has taken a decisive action, an action which has been appreciated worldwide and by every Indian, because it was only aimed against the terrorists and not against. Now, to change the narrative, they are bringing in this entire aura of, as of, saying exactly what Pakistan was saying, that nothing happened, no one was killed and nothing was done. So, you are in a way not just demoralizing, but degrading your own armed forces by not believing what your armed forces are saying and believing what the enemy is spreading. You are doing his job for him in your own country. What can be more shameful and more worse than that? And they are standing totally exposed in front of the people. What you should be appreciating is the fact that a strong decision was taken by a leader, by the government, and the armed forces were told to go ahead and take whatever action they deemed fit. The action taken by the armed forces is something which will go down in history as to how a neat and clean, a precise operation was done. And not only should you be patting the backs of the armed forces who went into an enemy territory, and that is confirmed by even the enemy themselves, that they went into an enemy territory and that they did damage over there, and they damaged those people who spread terror worldwide and especially planned terror to kill our people in India. So, not only should you appreciate that, but you should appreciate the fact that the armed forces was allowed to do that and given the green signal by a leader who took an instantaneous decision and said, you have a free hand, go ahead and do what you want. But what they are doing is saying, we are happy with the armed forces, but we are questioning the government. And what are the questions? The same questions which the Pakistanis are talking. So, you are talking their language.
But the way these 21 opposition parties came together just a few days ago and they passed a resolution, do you see this as an emergence of some kind of a grand alliance for the 2019 polls? Because it's very clear that, they are trying to do some political posturing, trying to put up a so-called alliance. So, do you see this as some kind of a political posturing on their side?
Yes, of course. It's the entire opposition today is coming together despite huge differences between them, with not a common minimum agenda for the country or for the people of the country, but the only one agenda being that remove Modi. I mean, that's what the joke is, that's what politics has come to today, that one is a government who is only talking about that this is what I've done for you, and this is where I'm taking New India, and this is what I'm going to give you. And the entire lot of others are only talking about that how let's come together to ensure he doesn't come back. I mean, I think that exposes them that you have not a common minimum agenda which you're talking about for the people. This election is for the people, by the people, of the people. It's for the country, and you're not even talking about the people. You're only talking about how to remove the BJP and how to remove Modi.
Also talking about Shiromani Akali Dal as a party, we've seen that a number of leaders have quit Shiromani Akali Dal and they are joining Congress. Does that really worry you because it's happening before the elections and it's been there for quite some time?
Well, nobody has joined Congress as yet, except for one of our MPs who has just joined, and this is the MP.
The Firozpur MP.
Yeah, he's someone who 2 years ago his son stood from the Congress ticket and he actively campaigned for the Congress. So although our party did not expel him and throw him out because there were no elections, even he didn't want a by-election and even we didn't want a by-election. So he was not part of Akali Dal because he was campaigning for Congress. His son is a Congress MLA, so he was anyway part of Congress. He's just done the formalities just before the code of conduct comes in by formally joining the Congress party, but he was not a part of Akali Dal. So I would not say that anyone is joining Congress, but yes, it's a fact that before every major election, Congress for its own survival, because it's not focusing on governance, focuses on trying to weaken Akali Dal, which is either by pulling out members of the family and creating a new PPP party, which is what they did in 2012, where Mr. Badal's nephew was suddenly encouraged to form his own party, thinking with the aim that, it will split the Akali Dal and weaken the Akali Dal, so Congress will come in. It backfired. Akali Dal came in with a bigger majority.
But this new outfit, Shiromani Akali Dal Takshali, do you think it's going to have any impact on the coming election?
Zero impact. This is again another of in the same. Last time they pulled out a family member.
The leaders who were expelled.
And yeah, last time they pulled out a family member and formed a party. Now they have pulled out those leaders who have not won an election in the last many elections, but despite that were always given positions of importance by the party. And these same leaders who are now questioning the leadership 2 years ago fought on the party ticket themselves and their family members under the same leadership, singing all the laurels they could about the leadership and about the party. And when the party did not perform as well, because for the first time in Punjab for 10 years one party stayed in power. So after 10 years when we were not so powerful, now they are again helping the Congress by ensuring that Akali Dal becomes weaker. So this is a Congress ploy which it does. So this Akali Dal Taksali, they could not win as individuals, where a couple of zeros coming together will always still remain a zero.
One last question, like you said that the Amrinder Singh government is not letting the centrally government schemes, funded schemes roll out. So does that make your job difficult, or does that make the party's job difficult when you go amongst the people because you don't have anything to show? So how do you really convince the people that, look, your party, your government did so much for the people, and here you have a government who doesn't allow things to happen? So does that make your job difficult on the ground amongst the people?
No, it makes it all the more easier, because we list out what all we were doing, and we were doing it for 10 years, and in 2 years they have stopped all that. Then we list out that when Congress was in power, you got nothing but scams and scandals. And here is a party in power where we have got all these development projects for you from the center, which you can see. And here are schemes which the center is giving and they are not even implementing. So not only are they not giving you what we were giving, but they're not even giving you which is coming free from the center. So I think it's all working out totally against the Congress. It's the people who are going to answer them when the Congress eventually during elections has to come out in the people. That's when they're going to be faced with so many questions which you're seeing now. There's so many videos going viral where the leaders, when they are going, the public is like, there are the teachers and all, there are certain segments who have put up boards outside their houses that this house belongs to a teacher, no congressman enter, because they have literally, from, like I said, from farmers to students to employees, there's nobody who they haven't harassed in the last 2 years.
Wish you all the best. You have a grueling time ahead, I know, because of elections.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that's it on this episode of To The Point. See you next time with another personality. Goodbye and thanks for your time.